need support staff to clear the room. Stand up and walk, now.
Hello and welcome to The Watch. My name is Chris Ryan. I am an editor at TheRinger.com, and joining me in the studio today shortly will be Tim Simons, because Andy is traveling and Tim was nice enough to come by and guest host the episode with me today. Obviously, coming out of this weekend, Tim and I talked about Golden Globes, of which Nobody Wants This, the show he's on, is nominated. We talked a little bit about Pluribus and Landman and just TV in general. It was a really fun chat. But coming out of this weekend, there's really only one story, and that is the announcement on Thursday night and the developments over the weekend about Netflix making an offer to buy and entering into an agreement with Warner Brothers to purchase their studios and their streaming service HBO Max, as well as the network HBO. This comes on the heels of Paramount's competing bid for Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers went with the Netflix offer. Warner Brothers is one of the most historically significant institutions in the history of American entertainment. Their IP treasure chest is probably unrivaled in Hollywood, with the exception of perhaps Disney. And it's a huge crown jewel of honestly, American cultural heritage at this point, and it's up for grabs. And we're really only in the prologue of this story. As we were recording today, this morning, Paramount announced that it was going to be conducting a hostile takeover bid of Warner Brothers. I had a very funny experience this weekend where I was cleaning up my kitchen and I saw a red envelope next to an old toaster, and it turned out to be disc 2 of Ingmar Bergman's Scenes from a Marriage that I have no recollection of renting from Netflix when it was simply a mail-order DVD company, but it was there and it's been there for several years, and I hope my credit rating is okay because of that. But it did make me laugh that, this relatively humble novel company, when it first started, of what if we just sent you DVDs in the mail and you sent them back when you were done with them, is now this Goliath who may swallow up half of the industry. And Andy and I will talk more this week about the pros and cons of that, and also just probably how helpless everybody feels in the face of it. I'll save a lot of this stuff for me and Andy. Let's get into my conversation with Tim Simons, which takes up the rest of the show. Like I said, we talked about the most recent episode of Pluribus, the most recent episode of Landman, the Golden Globes, rewatching Succession, and who we would want to play golf with if we were the last people on Earth. All right, I'm now joined by the critics' motherfucking choice, Tim Simons. Tim, you know what? You're not the only award nominee in this room right now.
I know. While you were out getting the water,
Kaya McMullen, Jerry Bruckheimer of Good Hang with Amy Poehler, is also nominated for a Golden Globe.
Thanks.
Do you get to go to the room?
I don't know. I would say there's probably a long list of people before me that will be in that room.
Not that long. I mean, I'm very excited for this possibility, if only for the idea of you being in proximity to some of these.
I'm very excited to maybe meet Mel Robbins.
Oh yeah, right. I wonder if there's a separate podcast ceremony, or are they going to be part of the evening?
I could see it being an off-camera, congrats, creative arts Emmys kind of deal.
I do want to just throw this out, Kaya. I feel like we don't know each other super well. Historically, I've enjoyed talking to you, but if for some reason the table placement is much more favorable for Kaya, I'm going to absolutely just mad dog her every time I'm in here. I will never, I won't even throw you a cursory glance.
It will just be blanked. Do I know you? Have we met before? Yeah, that's cool.
Hey, Tim, I'll just keep introducing myself politely. I'm Tim.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
The Golden Globes were announced this morning. Andy obviously is going to be on it later in the week, and we'll probably recap some of this stuff in more depth, including the merger stuff. But the Globes nominations were this morning. I have a funny relationship with the Globes. I'll just tell you where I don't really understand who nominates things or votes on them. But I do find award shows to be relatively amusing and useful as markers of this is what people generally who watch a lot of TV or a lot of movies were into. Congratulations on Nobody Wants This getting nominated, right?
Yeah, Nobody Wants This got nominated. Adam and Kristen both got nominated, which is rad. And whenever people bag on award shows, I get it. There are more important things going on in the world. But one thing that is cool about them is that is an opportunity for underseen movies or television shows to get to get a bump, to get more people to know about them, to get them into the conversation, especially if they're sort of like criminally underwatched.
Did you ever, throughout your time on Veep or on Nobody Wants This, like do a deep dive into like what the advanced analytics are to get nominated for a Globe, or is it still just like you believe in magic? When it happens, it happens?
I believe in magic, but there's also a part of me that like I don't know if this is incredibly stupid on my part. Like that side of the business, I almost am like willingly telling myself to not know about.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that works to my detriment or to my overall benefit.
Do you vote in SAG?
I vote in SAG and I vote in Emmys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you zag hard when you're voting? Do you ever like throw like some random stuff in there or like, you know, like kind of try to stand out a little bit from the masses?
What I try to do is because there are 780 television shows, there's no way that you can watch them all.
Yeah.
So I do try. I know there was like that thing with the Oscars, like recently they were like, by the way, you have to watch a movie. You would think that would be a prerequisite.
I think it's honor system, but yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I really do try to go for the things that I've not only seen, but thought were great.
Yeah.
And what that means is that sometimes there are some people that are very much in a conversation, but I'm just like, I can't in good conscience vote for it because I haven't seen it.
Right. One thing that's always sort of strange about the Globe nominations and the Globes themselves is that because of the timing of it vis-a-vis the Emmys, there will always be like wait, I don't understand. I thought Adolescence won everything already. Like, how are we doing Adolescence again towards the end of the year? Or it's very strange when those kinds of like recycled award runs happen.
Yeah. And you wonder, like, is Stephen Graham going to be as excited as the one? Because, God, that guy rules. That guy rules.
I think he'll be sincere, but I don't know if we're going to get the same level of Emmys candor from him. Yeah.
It was really fun. Like, at the Emmys this past year, I was in a row. Like, we were right next to Noah Wyle. And as we've talked about before, I was a huge fan of The Pit. I came to it late after you guys saying over and over again that I should watch it. And I came to it late and it is, as advertised, really good. And I was in, and then to our right was the entire Adolescence crew. So to like be in between that level of happiness was like a really amazing night.
Was Owen Cooper from Adolescence giving like a lot of like the V's to like the Pit people, being like, how you like that?
I did at one point when I was talking to Noah Wyle, I really wanted it to work out. I tried to convince him to do a bit that if he won, he would stand up and like we would have a moment where we said, we did it. And he didn't go for it. He went for like the human, like he hugged his wife. I thought that would have been really good. Like we did it, man. We got there.
Yeah.
Another reason I'm bad at the business is both on Friday morning and this morning when my phone is blowing up. My first question is, what happened? I had no idea
that the Globes were
Friday
coming?
morning that Critics' Choices were being announced.
Which you got nominated for.
I did.
Yeah.
And it was great. My kid's birthday was over the weekend, and it was actually kind of lovely to be able to take a moment during like this birthday weekend. They turned 14 and they're wonderful people. They're kind and they're creative. But it was nice to be able to take a moment to focus on their birthday weekend about what really mattered, which is individual acting.
I was wondering about that. I was waiting for the butt there.
Yeah.
Their birthday weekend, and you're like, but sometimes it's about dad.
Sometimes it's about dad.
It's about what dad brings to the table.
Yeah. While they were blowing out the candles, I was like, I hope they're wishing for a win.
Yeah. Andor did not get nominated for any of the major sort of drama or writing awards, but Diego Luna did get nominated for actor. Task had one with Ruffalo. No Taylor Sheridan.
No Taylor Sheridan
for
at
none
all?
of his shows.
Okay.
And Catherine Lanassa, who plays Nurse Dana on The Pit and won an Emmy, did not get nominated.
Really?
Yeah, which was pretty surprising.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
And did I see correctly that One Battle didn't get nominated?
No, it's in comedy. Which is,
it's in comedy. Oh, okay, good.
I don't know how I feel about. At this point, I almost feel like the Globe should be like. I don't know whether I feel like it should tack closer to the Oscars in terms of its categories. I appreciate the fact that like more movies get nominated for Globes, and then like to your point, you can get like people being like, oh, I didn't see Jay Kelly or whatever. No, I don't think Jay Kelly got nominated, but by that same token, like it is strange when One Battle is very funny.
Yes.
Many of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies are very funny. I would not explicitly call them comedies, and I wouldn't call them musicals. And so competing against other comedies and musicals is a little strange.
There is, and I think there is also that thing of like whether or not you agree with the category. I mean, an argument can absolutely be made that One Battle After Another is the funniest movie that got released this year. For sure. Like that argument, I don't think that's like a category fraud thing. Because it is fun to tell people that haven't seen it, like, hey, in the first 30 minutes, you're going to think I'm insane when I tell you this is the funniest movie you'll see all year. But with comedies being broadly ignored in awards talk, unless there is a specific category for it, like a lot of comedies don't get nominated for Oscars, or at least maybe more recently. I do like that there is like, okay, no, we're going to actually put some light on those as well.
It almost would be better if, I guess that this gets to the point of like, there's just aren't enough comedies being made as feature films anymore. So you do wind up having things that are like, whether it's a big musical getting put in there or something that is right on the line between drama and comedy and probably leaning more drama, even if it's funny, something like One Battle, which will probably win that. I think Marty Supreme is also in the comedy category as well, which I haven't seen yet.
I haven't seen either.
But in any case, for the nominations, Best TV Drama, it was The Diplomat, The Pit, Pluribus, which we're going to talk about, Severance, Slow Horses, White Lotus. For Best TV Comedy, it was Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Hacks, Nobody Wants This, Only Murders in the Building, and The Studio.
Which is that? Would that be season one?
Yeah.
And they weren't, had it not come out in
This
time?
is the thing, is that like they did a whole Emmys run, and now this is now like the end of the cycle for like its awards eligibility for season one. Yeah.
Which I think off the top of my head, that feels like outside of the studio, the exact same lineup from last year.
It's very similar, and they're still doing this Bear Hacks thing, which I just find now amusing to like watch these two go up against each other. Best limited series was Adolescence, All Her Fault, The Beast in Me, which I watched in its entirety, Black Mirror, which that was one that I was surprised got put up for awards, or like I like Black Mirror a lot this season, but it was like, I was like, oh yeah, Black Mirror came out, Dying for Sex, and The Girlfriend, which I had to look up. That's a Robin Wright show with Olivia Cook from House of the Dragon. And it's about a girlfriend who disrupts a family. And I was just like, this doesn't seem like a real show. And it really was.
And it really was?
Yeah.
I check it out. I like Olivia Cook.
I like Olivia Cook too. Yeah. She was great in Dragon. She's great in the first episode of Slow Horses.
Yeah. That had to be like House of Dragon related scheduling, right?
It is. I mean, we've now gotten into, I was actually going to encourage this for you. We have gotten into spoilers for Slow Horses. So you can click ahead 15 seconds. Killing people off, like named actors, killing them off in the early like first episode or so. This is the Kyle Chandler, Mayor of Kingstown move. And this is a part for you, to be like pretty famous guy who's on the poster and then gets his head blown off in the first episode.
Honestly, that'd be sick. The only thing that I don't like about that is, I don't know. Whenever I see Olivia Cook, like when she gets, again, spoilers for a five-year-old
TV show,
first season of a television show that if you're listening to this, you probably watch. There is always that part of me whenever I see an actor get shot and actually killed, I am like, fuck, I wish they just still had a job. Like, it's like whenever I had a real trouble watching the first season of Fargo, which is like a show I love, but when they were out on the frozen lakes, I was just like, man, everybody was so cold that day. Like the crew had those heated vests. I know everybody, like breakfast was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't get past like the actual just being on set part of it.
I think Andy had a funny moment when he was doing Briar Patch where like, he writes these scripts and then, 80% of them is like exterior nighttime.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's sick, dude. That's going to be awesome. Just like James Ellroy and like Raymond Chandler. And then he was like, so it turns out you start shooting at midnight, like, or whatever, or like 10 p.m. So he's like, I'm going to make some of this stuff daytime.
Like, I love any movie like Nightcrawler, any movie that takes place all at night. But there is that thing where it's like, you're on your third day of night shoots and it's just like, oh, I smoke again.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the real world is.
I have a FanDuel account.
Yeah.
All I do is bet like Mexican soccer league games.
Like Korean baseball. so that I can track it live.
All right, let's talk about some of the stuff that you're watching now.
Okay.
I'm really curious about, you go through a year, you were shooting Nobody Wants This, in the spring of 25? When you do a show and when you're on a series, are you, obviously I've been on the Physical Media High Council with Tim. I've been a recent addition.
Nothing makes me happier. Which, by the way, I want to tell you, Shoot First Die Later, what an incredible recommendation.
Oh my God, brother.
We've been on this little, is it Polizia
Techie? Yeah. Teshi? Yeah.
Teshi? We've been on a little bit of a run with that, and it's just been incredible.
Tim and I are collecting 70s Italian crime films.
Yeah.
And I would say the hit rate on those is about 50-50. You do get some that are like, here's a hot police commissioner whose dad is corrupt and he has to sleep with every woman in Rome before he can take his own dad down.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is cool.
This is cool.
But I don't know about how many hot police commissioners there have ever been.
I would say Caliber 9
yes.
for me didn't hit the heights of Shoot First Die Later. Because it felt like a little bit more, like it had like a little bit of an unearned pace. There were moments that were incredible, but then I was also like, we're really just watching this guy walk to get coffee. Like, this isn't moving it forward very much.
Right, Vince Gilligan.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Like stocky Statham. I can't remember the actor's name, but he looked like Statham if he was shooting a movie while prepping for like an Oscar role.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Where he had to like gain a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're shooting a show, are you kind of zero dark 30, like you're not watching other TV just because of time commitment? Like how do you catch up and how do you pace out like your TV watching over the course of the year as a also noted cinephile?
I would say that most of my watching habits, as we've talked about recently, have been more on the movie side, but there are things that I am just like, no, that's exactly up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of stuff, like if it's something that's exactly up my alley, I start it when it starts.
Yeah.
Like Task started it when it started and was with it every single week. And some of the other ones I will let pile up. And then like much like The Pit, it kind of takes a lot of people recommending it in order for me
to get, and like for something like The Pit, which is like a medical procedural, are you like, I'm good, I don't really need to do a hospital show? Or were you like...
I mean, I think that was my first thought. But when you just have that many people whose opinions you trust, and it wasn't just you and Andy.
It was like
it was everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
I was like, well, there's got to be something there. And my wife and I tried to start watching it. This is one thing. And I will say, like, my wife is great. She'll suggest a lot of shows that we watch, and then we start them, and we watch the first episode of The Pit, and she was like, I'm absolutely not watching the rest of this. Like, this is too stressful. We started watching The Studio, and she kept getting up to, like, leave the room to, like, do a short errand in the house. Like, oh, I have to just like switch the laundry over, or I have to just run upstairs and
you're
grab.
like, these episodes are only like 21 minutes long.
But
right?
I would like pause them.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where from the other room, she would shout, don't pause it. I'm leaving, because she doesn't do well with comedy of discomfort. She like internalizes it too much. I know. Maybe I was different.
Yeah.
I can't imagine I was.
I honestly probably share that a little bit with her. Like when Andy and I talk about like Chair Company or even some of the Nathan Fielder stuff, like I get like, it's hard for me to get through it. Like once I have a breakthrough like I did with Chair Company, I'm like, okay, like I feel like I understand it. But the initial sort of like, oh my God, this is so awkward. That's the whole kind of thrust of the joke is tough.
Yeah. There are moments where I think Nathan Fielder should be illegal. Like he, we should just like, he should be in jail.
Yeah,
and then
it's
also,
kind of like,
when he's flying the plane, I'm also like, this man is a miracle.
Yeah.
But no, so I actually do kind of find out about a lot of shows through Annie, which I will then continue watching after she taps out.
This is the great debate. I mean, like every couple has their private war. You know,
yes.
I was trying to get my wife to watch UK Celebrity Traders for a couple of weeks because apparently it's like completely amazing and it's on Peacock now. And she was just like, she's like, at some point we'll check it out one time. And then I came back. I turned around yesterday. I watched the Sixers game and she was like, I'm 5 episodes in. You're out. Like you're I'm not explaining it to you. Like I'm addicted. I don't want to watch anything else tonight. Like this is what we're doing.
It makes it maybe a little bit easier, I guess, for that dynamic when I'm out of town. Like when I have to go out of town for work for a couple weeks, and then it's just sort of like, oh, we'll both watch on our own time and discuss. We watch Great British Bake Off with the family.
That's
like
nice.
The kids have
That's
been
like a
into
family
that.
like routine.
Good family routine there. But yeah, like
you watch Task with the kids too.
Yeah, they were in it just for the Philly accents. They were only pointing out flaws.
She's obviously Irish, you know?
But like, I think I also have been doing a thing which we kind of texted a little bit about. I love rewatching things. I found like a lot of comfort in rewatching things. And over the course, so then you throw in, an unbelievable amount of actual new television. And then you throw in that, like, in the past year, I rewatched Girls and Succession. And then I watched We Own This City. And I had never seen it.
Did you do it just because you didn't just do it because I kept screaming like him, right? Like you actually were interested in the subject matter, or was
of We Own This City?
Do you know that I just do Bernthal from We Own This City like all the time? Like, goddamn, Sean! Like,
like maybe I didn't get the reference.
No, it's okay.
Until now.
You independently just like were like, it's time to
time.
Okay.
It's time. And I did it, and it was phenomenal.
It's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowingly good.
Yeah.
And then one thing that happened was because we shot Veep in Baltimore, there were sets, like interior sets.
That you recognized?
That I recognized. And then it made me nostalgic for Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
So then also just being like, yeah, George Pelecanos and David Simon are really fucking good at this.
Yeah.
And I just kind of was like, well, I just want that feeling again. I want like a Baltimore cop, Baltimore City feeling. So I just said, fuck it, and threw the wire.
I recommended Homicide for you for this because Homicide's on Peacock now, and you can kind of come and go with Homicide as you please.
Okay.
Like, it's not something where you're like, oh, I forgot the long running plot that's been going on this entire season. Like, you can do 3 episodes and then drop it for a month and then come back and do 3 episodes. And they front load it where it's like, those first few seasons of Homicide are incredible, but if you lose interest once certain characters leave, you can be like, okay, I'm tapping out before, I think they wound up doing like 6 or 7 seasons. Which is weird because it was always on the chopping block, but they kept it going. It kind of became adjacent to Law and Order after a certain point. So it was on for a while, but those first few seasons, if you're looking for Baltimore nostalgia, it's right there.
All right, cool.
With the rewatching thing, I've really wanted to do this recently because I can't remember. I think it was a Succession episode I was watching on a plane, and I was like, "This is just the best show ever made." And I find that like there's like 50% recall and then 50% like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about this subplot." And it's those forgot about those subplots that I'm really happy to rediscover sometimes. Like when I'm rewatching stuff. Do you have in your rewatches of like Girls or whatever? Is there like do you find yourself like drawn to different characters or different storylines more than the first time around?
Definitely drawn to different characters, just like in that psychotic way that like the amount of times that I've seen one battle, like different things stick out each time.
Yeah.
Maybe you're kind of more dialed in with a different character the second or third time around. I think one thing that I really noticed was, especially like in the Succession rewatch, was realizing that I had read scenes entirely the wrong way the first time through.
Oh, like what?
One, my memory of the first time around was that Jared Mencken was definitely going to be president.
Okay.
That was like they had done it.
Right.
And it was much more vague. Like you hear talk about like, well, there are going to be investigations
and challenges,
like, the Democratic candidate in Wisconsin, they were going to challenge that. So it wasn't so cut and dry the first time. And honestly, Shiv really stuck out a lot this time. And I think this is a credit to Sarah Snook. Like she's such a great actress in that way that like Dave Mandel used to talk about Julia Louis-Dreyfus when people would say, I want Selena Meyer to be my president.
Right.
And he would be like, no, you don't. You want Julia to be your president.
Yeah.
And I think that's something Sarah Snook sort of shares that in that you kind of love her as a performer so much, you don't notice that she is kind of as bad as Kendall.
That was always like the most interesting thing that was happening with Succession, because I think it's a very emblematic show of this sort of like widespread inability to distinguish between like I'm watching a writer tell a story rather than like I am cheering for people to win or lose. And like we're like on this pod and elsewhere like as much responsible for that as anyone, because we're like,
I'm glad you're taking the culpability.
Who's power ranking? Like we're power ranking characters. We're like, how is this going to end? Who's going to win? Succession kind of. But that was always my thing with Kendall, like with Jeremy Strong, where I was like, I'm not saying like I think Kendall is an awesome hang or like I want him to direct a film like that I star in. I'm just saying like this performance is really singular and like we're going to remember it for a really long time, which we do because we're still kind of referencing it to this day. Yeah.
And there's also like with the girls rewatch, because I had been working with Jenny Connor and Bruce Eric Kaplan now run Nobody Wants This, and we've been talking about girls a lot. And I was just like, fuck it, I haven't seen it since it first came out. When it comes to like the power rankings thing, one thing what was amazing about going back to that one was watching it while being free of like the
discourse of it. Yeah.
With like the take industrial complex that we all had to be a part of. Like the discussions of how every single episode was both the best thing that had ever happened and also setting women back 100 years. Like all of that garbage, like to have none of that noise and just appreciate it as a show was incredible. And like those first 2 seasons, I know it's a show that was very specifically about millennials. They really feel timeless.
Yeah.
Like a very timeless representation of that feeling of being just out of college and sort of an adult. Like that one, that really stuck out to me.
There's also like, whenever I go back and rewatch girls episodes, the thing that comes screaming out of the screen is like, it's feeling of like a sense of place, you know, like that they did shoot it in New York and that it did have that kind of like on stoops in apartments that looked like people's apartments in New York and at bars that looked like bars people would go to. And, you know, I mean, obviously as it goes to like the Iowa Writers Workshop and upstate birthing facilities or whatever, like it gets a little bit stranger, but man, that show is so good.
Didn't Brody at the New Yorker put like Adam Driver on like his top 10 film performances of all time?
Adam Driver in Girls?
Adam Driver in Girls.
I mean, that sounds like Richard Brody to a T.
And honestly, like in going back, it's like, you know, he can make a real strong case for that.
Sure.
Like Brody is, or Adam Driver is absolutely unbelievable.
Did Girls and Veep ever like share Sundays? I feel like there was like a legendary HBO Sunday. Yeah, that was like Thrones.
It was
Girls,
Thrones,
Veep or something.
Girls, and then Veep. Veep and Girls. We premiered on the same day. Wow. I think it was I think maybe season 2 of Game of Thrones. But that was the run that we were there for. It was Thrones and then Girls and then Veep.
That's the thing is that like I obviously probably would have. I think I was an Iannucci fan and like a fan of so many of the people involved in that show and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So I would have watched Veep, but I do think that to your point earlier about award stuff, where you're like, hey, some people might not know some of these shows, and just simply them getting nominated or getting talked about at an award show might bring new people to the series. Dude, like the idea of like stitching together a night of programming in order to like bring things up by having a Game of Thrones lead in. And then you're like, not only is it a great lead in because it's so popular, but I need to come down after like watching a pregnant lady get stabbed to death on Game of Thrones. So I'm going to watch Jonah and Hannah like for the next hour. And it's really, really like, it's a lost art form, I think.
Yeah. And even the idea that like, you know, Lena Dunham was like not as well known a commodity or an actress or performer or writer as Julia. So even to be like, hey, in between Game of Thrones, which you're watching, and Julia, who you know, there's this other thing that's really good. Like that actual sort of like that programming art. Like, we watch. Yeah.
Andy and I used to do this thing every once in a while called like the, like I think it was like the primetime. Like, what was it? Like the streaming TV programming grid or something like that, Kaya? It was like basically we would make a 8 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. like night of television based on like stuff that was on streaming. Yeah. So that it would basically be like what it was like to watch NBC on like a Thursday in the 90s or something like that. And it is tough. I do think that they've kind of gotten away from half-hour comedies so much now that it's sort of difficult to like do the like, I'm going to do 2 comedies at 8, a drama at 9, maybe another drama at 10, or maybe 2 more comedies to kind of like be a buffer for them, but it is difficult to like kind of because of all the choice people have with streaming services. I don't think people are ever thinking in terms of two TV shows that might complement each other. They're thinking of, I'm going to watch 4 episodes of this and then go to bed.
Yes. Just to that awards conversation thing, like, and this will be a little bit of a segue into Pluribus, like,
which also got nominated.
Like, that is a show that the premise of, like, and I've been telling people about it recently, and I will say, like, that thing that they did, like, maybe this is like a programming thing. Like, we're going to give you the first 2 episodes, because if you see I tell people, like, this show's incredible. And if you just watch the first episode, I'm telling you, the rest of it is not like that.
Yes.
Like, if you are somebody that doesn't like horror movies or doesn't like sci-fi, and you watch the first episode, you might be like, this show's not for me. But I'm like, even if you just watch 10 minutes of the second episode, you're going to get a much better idea of what this thing is all about.
Yeah.
But it's fun finally to have a show that's like, oh, Wednesday nights. Like, I get to look forward to Wednesday nights when Pluribus comes out.
It's also, to your point about the Sarah Snook performance, like this Rhea Seehorn performance is such that her like kind of like skill and ability like transcends like Carol. So even though you're watching Pluribus, and I think a lot of people might be like, why is she doing this? Why is she doing that? Like, why would she be so mean? And if she knows this is going to happen, why is she going to do that? But like Seehorn's performance in and of itself is something to root for.
Yeah.
So I can spend as much, and it's really interesting to get to see your current through 6. Like, you watched the most recent one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really interesting because now I think we're about to start to bring maybe some more people into the show, because it's been such a one-hander. I was watching an interview with Bob Odenkirk a little while ago where he was talking about doing the first season of Saul and how he's like in like every shot. Like his character, Saul Goodman, is like in every shot of the first season of Better Call Saul, and how hard it was, and like how exhausting it is to just be like on all day long for so many hours. I can't imagine
truly
for Seehorn, like how like she's not only in everything, but physically has to like traverse like, you know, great distances, do all these things, be in these emotional states. And
like, you know, and like use a pickaxe.
Yeah.
Like I've used a pickaxe for like 15 minutes before and then was laid up for
in
4.
Maine, or was this like
actually in LA?
Oh.
Yeah, I was digging up like a flower bed that was like left over. You know what I mean? It was a bunch of lava rock and it looked really bad. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to do this myself. You were breaking down
your compost.
Yeah, and then I was like just in traction. Yeah. No, and not only is she carrying like all of the emotional weight of the entire show, and not only is she in every shot, like there was the one episode, was it 4 or 5 when everybody leaves?
Yes.
And then it's just her.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't even have another actor
to play off
of. Like the level of difficulty and the seeming ease with which she pulls it off is unbelievable.
There's been some really good Vince Gilligan interviews where especially on Polygon, where he's talked a little bit about, you know, basically like this.
Wait, is Polygon the one where you can like bet on if there's going to be?
No, that's Polymarket.
Polymarket. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
want to get into that?
Yeah.
What do you want to bet on?
Over under 3.5 more boat strikes before the end of the week.
Jesus Christ. So you want to talk about that? We don't want to talk about the merger, but we're going to do the boat strikes. All right.
I'm all in on my guy Pete.
Yeah, right. He's a piece of shit. I can say that pretty confidently. No, Gilligan's talking about like the way that the writer's room kind of is sorting through the permutations of this story and going through step by step. And it really is, it's basically, you could cut and paste an interview from Breaking Bad or Saul. Like the way they kind of interrogate every piece of narrative and plot point. And the show is like really shockingly, I think it's refreshingly, so far, everything that's coming out, whether it's a character beat or whether it's an idea about the world, it's all plot. And it's like plot to the point of like, how is she going to get her food if nobody is around?
Yeah.
Or how does she get rid of her trash if wolves knock over her trash cans? And, you know, what will she do? Like, how would she get to Vegas if no one's willing to fly her? So she'll drive her cop car to Vegas. Like, I love the way that this show makes me use my brain, like, along with the writers.
Yeah. That feeling, and I don't know that I've had this feeling in a long time, of at any single moment in that show, you don't know what could possibly happen next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like story-wise, I have no idea what anybody's next move is going to be. You know, like that like meme format of like, don't let them know your next move.
I do know that format.
It feels like that, but like without Rhea Seehorn being like as emotionally grounded in it, it might just become boring. It might just become like, well, I just want to know what happens and I'll watch it on like 2x speed just to know what happens. But you're with her in every single like emotional beat as well, which is incredible. Like, but even like her, like even as you're watching it, you ask those questions of like, oh, like if wolves were trying to dig up or coyotes were trying to dig up like the shallow grave that I had buried my wife in, how would I go about?
Well, it's pretty easy. You would have asked the others to give you a full predator, like the predator suit.
The predator.
Yeah.
Trust me, I mean, like the fact that the one guy, I can't remember his name, but the guy who's like just acting out like the last scene in a James Bond movie, I have thought to myself,
like, what would you put yourself in?
Yeah, what do I
know
put myself
exactly
in?
what I would do.
I mean, everybody that surrounds me as a cinematographer, like, you know, has like the knowledge of Robert Elswit in their head. Like, we could just fucking make a movie.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I would also I would just rob the bank from Heat.
Oh,
I'd have to know.
What a great idea.
I'd have to know what it feels like.
Just load them up with like full
We're
blanks.
here for the bank's money, not your money. Your money is insured. Don't be a hero.
You could also have essentially Val Kilmer train you how to do the mag switch.
I could.
You know what I mean? So you could even spend weeks in training getting the mag switches right for the bank heist scene. That'd be great.
There's something about the way they plot this show that makes me think of improv comedy. And I just wanted to bounce this off of you. Like, I don't know a lot about like the rules and regulations and philosophies of improv comedy, but I am familiar with like the idea of yes and like doing like basically like how this show never lets go of a decision. So once they make the decision, like this is happening with the world, they don't just say like, and we'll come back to that in a couple of episodes, but right now let's go over here. They're like, no, okay, so she discovers this, but what if people were actually okay with it? You know what I mean? Like there is like a way that they're using their writer brains and they're putting characters in positions of like, every time you think you're going to be like, oh no, it's fucking body snatchers. It's on. Like everybody's going to, now we have to start a resistance to the alien invasion. There's like this slight kind of like, but what if we didn't? You know, like what if they, or what if it was, they're eating people, but what if people were okay with it kind of thing?
Yeah. And before I answer the improv comedy thing, I would just say that one interesting thing about it is that it kind of over and over again. I mean, we're 6 episodes in and you're kind of still asking the question like, I don't know, is it so bad?
Right.
They all seem to be pretty good to one another. They're all concerned about their community.
Right.
Like we lack a little individuality. You know what I mean? They've done a really good job balancing whether or not this is actually a bad thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the questions that the show asks are moral and ethical and philosophical, which makes it really engaging to chew on. It engages a different part of my brain than a lot of other TV does, where it's just like simply like, will Billy Bob Thornton, you know, tell this guy how oil really works?
Yeah,
you know, like this is
those are the two parts of your brain: philosophical and will Billy Bob Thornton tell this guy how
in
oil
a pickup
works?
truck.
To your improv question, and there are going to be a lot of people that are way more able to answer this question than I am, who just have like more experience or, you know, whatever. If Walshy was in here, he wrote books on it. But there is something that I remember from when I first moved out here and I was like taking classes at UCB, this idea of like, I can't remember what they called it, but like, it was like the weird thing that just happens on stage that can't be ignored. And like you go out on stage and you think like, oh, this is going to go this way. But then something happens where you just have to be like, no, that happened. You have to address it. And you lock onto that and that becomes the game. And in that way, like it does feel like that in like the game of them just needing space from her is so funny.
Yeah.
But
and then the answering machine message is the best.
Yes, and the way they make you play it out every time.
Yeah.
They make you wait with her every time. There is something to that. Like the show is as much philosophical drama as it is comedy. Like one of the funniest things I've seen recently was that fucking drone trying to pick up the trash bag that's just a little bit too heavy and then ends up swinging around, and it takes so long. But I think I guess the best answer that I could come up with is like the attention to the little details and not just skipping over the weird thing to get further into the story or into the plot, being like, no, like this weird thing happened and we have to spend time with it, because to ignore it would mean it would leave the audience with the question. And I think that was one of the things that why they, like in improv classes, they pointed that out.
Sure.
Because like, if you skip over that, the audience is going to be wondering why nobody responded.
Well, one of my
thing.
biggest pet peeves I think I've said this enough times that I feel like I'm repeating myself now, but like one of my biggest pet peeves in TV writing is when two characters are having a conversation, they get to the most important part of the conversation and one character kind of inexplicably walks out of the room. And it's because they need to end the scene or go to commercial or keep whatever, but this would happen all the time on like kind of pulpy dramas where it'll be like, this guy just drove across the city to have inexplicably a face-to-face conversation with you. You get right up to the most important part where you're like, I'm just not going to do that. And they're like, and they leave. Instead of just being like, wait, I drove over here. We have to talk this out. We have to figure this out.
I dealt with crosstown traffic at like 4:30. On a Thursday.
Yeah. Do you know how busy it is in the Ozarks right now?
Yeah.
For Ozark? Yeah. Like, I drove around this lake. I found out that you're growing heroin, and now I'm leaving. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I didn't get all the information. Like, no, like, if I'm going to go to the West Side to ask somebody one question, I'm going to ask it. I'm not just going to like freely get back on the 10.
For the last 5 minutes, I've basically been a little bit distracted because I keep thinking about what truly your vision of an alien invasion utopia would be. And it would be living at Bandon with Tiger, Phil, and Rory. And golfing every day, but they always lose by like one stroke to you.
To the point where they are like we don't have to discuss it.
Yeah.
They all just know.
But like you could get like Jim Nance to come to announce, you know? And
I mean, we'd have to pair this because you would be there.
I would like to be, yeah. But I don't know if I would have been would I be an other or would I be one of the survivors, you know?
What do you want to be? I think it would be fun if the two of us were there as survivors and we were like doing like a 2-man Ryder Cup style.
But how many years I would have so many things I was like, if we're just acting stuff out, you know what I mean? Like, I'd love to just act out Rio Bravo. I'd love to act out like an Italian police crime movie. Like, we would be pretty busy for like a decade.
There is no reason to think that we couldn't make like a Gus Van Sant Psycho shot-for-shot remake of Shoot First, Die Later.
Or of Gus Van Sant Psycho.
Or Gus Van Sant... A shot-for-shot remake of Gus Van Sant Psycho.
Yeah, I think that the aliens would be like, you guys are pretty stupid.
Yeah. This is like, we can't tell you if there's a way to revert back to the way it was, and we're also not going to do that. We'll give you the atom bomb, we'll do that, but we're not going to do... You want to do, like, we could even, I mean, the planes are there for us. We could go shoot on the original locations.
I know.
Of Shoot First, Die Later.
Well, there for us. I mean, Hoyt Van Hoytema could shoot, like, in IMAX for us if we wanted to. Yeah.
Everybody knows how to do everything. We could do it. You're not going to have to wait to see the Christopher Nolan Odyssey.
Fuck that.
You're in it.
I'm Odysseus.
You're Odysseus. And you have the time and the access to people who can get you in the shape that Matt Damon is in currently.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when I would get bored of this.
It would
be a decade. I think I have 10 years of stuff I'd like to experience before I'd be like, oh, God, I'd really love to protect my individuality here. And, you know.
But I would definitely be along for the ride of you and me and the other survivors Bandon 5-6 days at a time. Try, getting stock tips from Phil Mickelson at the bar afterwards.
He's betting on us. Okay, last Pluribus thing is this episode, the 6th one, did seem to be the one that started to trigger some fan theories, some conversations about like what's going on here, where is this going, what might be at stake. The thing I wanted to ask you is, have you considered whether or not, while they can't lie and they don't want to hurt anything, that this force, this virus, this outside force, that basically like they will sometimes lie by omission? And because the theory out there is that, this idea that they come to this planet and they're like, well, we can't kill anything, so we're going to starve in 10 years or whatever it's going to be. But that might be in and of itself some kind of weapon to wipe out the planet of human life.
Oh.
So that Carol's even initial kind of fear about, is this like an alien invasion or is this an apocalypse? It is, but it's like slow cinema apocalypse.
Oh man, I'm like, God, I'm such a trusting person.
Well, that's the thing is that I think that there's something about this show that almost makes you trusting. This was in Polygon. Somebody wrote this theory up, and I was like, yeah, because I do wonder whether or not like Gilligan will identify like the true tension of the show or the true obstacle of the show. Is it just Carol and her wandering the kind of the wasteland, and figuring out different problem-solving exercises? Or is there something that we're going to find out where it's like, no, this is why they came here and this is why this is happening?
It's hard for me
Or this is why they sent this virus here. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little hard for me to like prognosticate on it, I guess, only because I am so trusting. Like, I'll just take exactly what they give me and believe in it. But I do wonder, like, if it is that, and I'm making this up in this moment, so if it doesn't make sense, I apologize. If it is that, if it is ultimately a thing of like our goal is to like wipe out that planet, and it is just sort of like an arch evil thing, does that make the show less interesting? Like, obviously, like, they're incredible writers and like they're always going to make a good show, but does it become a little bit more regular? You know what I mean? If it's all of a sudden just, oh yeah, they're all evil and we got to stop the evil. Whereas this world that we're in, it sort of swings wildly back and forth between are they evil or are they not?
Or what is evil if evil presents itself in such a benevolent way? Is it evil?
Like, is it more interesting to watch her figure that out? Or like, I guess that's my question. Would that make it, and I'll ask it to you, like, would that make it a little bit too just sort of like good versus evil? Avengers Endgame, we got to destroy these guys who are trying to snap away 50% of the world or whatever.
I don't know, but I also know that like the way that Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul changed from their first season to their fifth seasons or their third, it's like, I don't think that Pluribus season 3 is going to look like Pluribus season 1 at all.
In that way, Pluribus season or Pluribus episode 3 didn't look like Pluribus
anything of Pluribus episode 6. 1. Yeah, right.
Yeah, like they're all so different that like one amazing thing about it is that like my interest in where it goes is kind of small because this is, it's like one of the first shows in a while where I am just like moment to moment of this thing is so incredible that I'm like, wherever it goes, that's great with me because I get to watch all this happen.
Yeah, and it's also like you can take joy in like every moment of it where it's like, it's like to the same point about the answering machine message, like all of the stones that she puts down as a memorial / protective layer to like keep Helen's body safe. You're like, just put 100 stones. I just like the way this is shot, the way it looks, the way it's cut. It's so rewarding. All right, I gave you one piece of homework.
You did.
For this Andy Greenwald fill-in job. I asked you to watch your first ever episode of Landman.
Yeah.
For this weekend's episode, Dancing Rainbows.
Yeah, just a fully fucking raw dogging Landman with dancing rainbows.
Did you have any preconceived notions going into this? Did you know anything about it? Had you seen any commercials for it? Anything?
All that I knew about it was you talking about it, Andy kind of making fun of you for talking about it.
No, but this is the thing is that like he's now secretly addicted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think like he got a little taste And now I think he's dabbling on the side where he's like, I watched Landman just in case, if you're ready.
If you're ready, if you want. I mean, it's completely up to you. The only other thing that I knew about it was like Billy Bob Thornton, like on the PR train wearing all like the jingle jangle. Yeah. Like that was the only other thing I knew about it. So truly, that's it. That's all I knew.
The floor is yours.
I gotta say, after watching that episode and the way you almost like presented it to me, it was like, oh, big episode tonight. And so I was like really expecting like fireworks and executions, you know what I mean? And so maybe there are some like emotional things happening here that I
probably didn't land as much.
That probably didn't land as much.
Spent that much time with the Norris family yet. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say like, I dug it.
Yeah.
And part of it is like, man, if you fucking sit Sam Elliott down looking at his sunset,
with Billy Bob?
With Billy Bob.
Yeah.
And they're like kind of talking very directly and unemotionally about emotions. It's like, let's fucking do it. Like, I'm probably going to watch some more Landman.
This is a strange episode to be giving you as a first piece of homework because I think there are others, specifically like there are episodes, many episodes, where the Ali Larder character has an outsized role. And does things that are tonally incongruous with the rest of the show.
Really?
So in some ways, you may have seen the most sober, solemn, and traditionally, quote unquote, good episode of Landman that you possibly could have seen.
Okay.
But in that, it is not actually representative of Landman or the glories of this show, because the only thing that was sort of off, quote unquote, for this show was Rebecca, who you don't know who is the lawyer for the Demi Moore, Billy Bob Thornton oil company.
Okay.
She went to Northwestern. She's an outsider in this oil industry. And so she's constantly being lectured about how things are done in Texas. Now she is like the corporate lawyer for this company. I don't know where she was going on that plane that we saw her on, but the plot line of her on this episode where she is getting shit-housed on watermelon-infused vodka from a ranch hand.
Yeah.
And then really enjoying I have never flown on a private plane. Had you ever heard of that taking off from a full stop kind of thing that they do there?
No.
Not into it.
But I have been on planes that have been knocked around that much.
Okay.
And I will tell you, I'm on her side.
Of like, this is death.
This is, what the fuck are we doing? This is immoral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this episode, Rebecca takes this private plane, I assume, to Fort Worth. And they're like, oh yeah, a lot of wind. And they explain that like the private plane is going to do basically like a takeoff from a stopped position, which essentially puts it on a fucking elevator going up through like incredible turbulence. Yeah. And it just looks like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And the dude next to her was like, we don't die this way. I was like, are you sure?
Are you sure?
Because this is how whenever you read about an airplane crash in LA, it's always one of those and they go fucking right into the ocean. So, I mean.
Is that a big thing for her that she would, would he be considered a roughneck or is he a ranch hand?
I think he's like, we're going to find out that he's also a geologist or something. Like he's got a pretty nice place in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
So he works in the oil industry, but I don't know what he does yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But am I getting the sense that maybe this is not the person she would normally choose?
No, opposites attract, brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
You'd expect her to be with some dweeby guy in New York who does like mergers and acquisitions, but you know, the heart wants what the heart wants.
The heart wants what the heart wants. And I do like that he is like, it's a great character introduction of like, he seems sweet.
Yeah.
And he seems charming. And like when he's telling her like, you know, use the aromatherapy thing. And you got to put it on the sink drain. Like I'm kind of into this guy. Like he seems like a good dude.
I would imagine that being your first episode, you are not aware of the fact that Andy Garcia's character is in fact a money launderer for the cartel.
No, I'm not.
But
I'm not.
That's sort of the wrinkle in her asking Andy Garcia to fund her offshore drilling thing. Now, Demi Moore's character was married to John Hamm. John Hamm, awesome on the first season, dies of a heart attack.
Okay.
So she inherits this company.
Truly had no idea.
The entire first season of the show, this is actually like really worth recapping to you. The entire first season of the show, Demi Moore's in like 5 episodes of the first season, swimming laps. Or like walking around in the background of a scene, or maybe having like a line or two, but it's usually like, honey, have your green juice, or honey, take your heart pill. And then John Hamm drops dead at the end of the first season, and Demi Moore takes over like the company.
John Hamm is in the entire first season of this television show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly him getting off private planes, talking on his cell phone to Billy Bob. So like he could have shot his stuff in like 6 days, honestly.
Okay.
But like he is like Billy Bob. He's 1A with Billy Bob the first season,
shit.
and then dies at the end of it. So Demi Moore's taken over this company. They have like an outstanding lawsuit problem with like an offshore facility off of Louisiana, and they quickly need $400 million because it turns out Hamm was not good with money.
Okay.
And they're going to get it from the cartel, it would appear. The cartel is also heavily involved with Billy Bob's son's oil fields.
Which is the guy who wore the Texas Tech hat.
Yeah.
That might have been, and this is, I can't pretend to know about the Panhandle, but growing up in rural Maine, there is something so lived in and familiar about somebody putting on a sport coat and a tie,
But not taking their hat off.
Yeah. And that no one in that world would be like, look, we're at a funeral, you have to take that hat off. No, that's old Connor. It's Connor? Cooper.
Yeah.
That's Cooper's hat.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't take it off. Like that felt really specific and lived in a way.
Yeah, so that guy recently became like a billionaire.
Okay.
Because he dug 6 wells in these really random parts of Texas, and they all hit. But it was funded by a fly-by-night finance company that is apparently like Andy Garcia's cartel
related.
And the cartel already doesn't like Billy Bob because they beefed in the first season.
Okay.
So now they're intertwined, but this weird thing that Taylor Sheridan does where he'll be like, what if for 2 or 3 episodes Andy Garcia was just a cool guy and hung out and drank tequila and like warned Cammy off of like dealing with him and all this stuff and has a nice wife. He'll be the villain at some point, but there was that, and then there's also Cooper and his girlfriend Ariana, who they've broken up and gotten back together like 2 or 3 times since we're only on episode 4 of the second season.
I mean, that was the one thing where there are going to be some things in like relationships that maybe feel a little bit regressive.
Sure.
There were moments in that where I was like, oh, this is like borderline on like, oh, this is borderline like actually like a good lesson here.
Yeah.
Like, listen, don't try to make decisions for that person. But then Sam Elliott comes in with, you ain't gonna know the rules.
Yeah.
At least you'll just be thankful you knew what they once were.
I gotta say, man, Sam Elliott could be like reading a Chinese menu backwards, and I'd be like, well, that's really profound.
God, he's so fucking good.
And he doesn't have to stand up in this season of TV. He fucked his hip up during making 1883.
Okay.
Have you ever watched any Taylor Sheridan shows?
Yes.
Did you watch Yellowstone at all? Or
I didn't. I started Yellowstone. Didn't really continue with it. I think honestly, the only Taylor Sheridan show that I've really seen a lot of is Sons of Anarchy before he got run over by that truck.
Oh, right. Well, he's just an actor in that one. Yeah,
he's just in that. Oh, but I will say, like, I think I do really like Taylor Sheridan's movies.
Yes.
Like, I know that's a conversation with you and Sean.
Yeah, well, he's definitely, by being the most prolific and successful television showrunner in modern times, has left his true calling, which is writing like super tight, awesome 90-minute thrillers and crime movies. Yeah.
Crime movies. And like, it is that thing of like, I'm so glad that he is employing half of the country on these television shows. But also, man, as we've talked about, as like fans of the genre of like
I miss Hell or High Water,
90-minute crime thrillers, like, couldn't you just squeeze out a couple more of those?
Yeah, I mean, this episode was like kind of amazing because it was one of the first times they've brought a lot of these characters together into the same room and then made them behave themselves. Usually they'll have Billy Bob's wife and daughter. Much of the first season and second season so far have been their work, I swear to God, on my life, in a senior citizens living community where they are trying to basically sexually awaken these old people by taking them to strip clubs, getting them drunk on margaritas, just trying to make them feel again. I don't know if they're associated with a charity or why. I can't remember why they started doing this, but there will be like 4 scenes of life or death negotiations of oil fields and also cartel activity. And then it'll just like hard cut Allie Larder in an old person's home being like, yeah, mama, shake it. And like getting like they're doing Zumba dancing or going to a strip club. So it is definitely...
I love seeing Allie Larder.
It's great.
Love seeing Allie Larder.
I really enjoyed the fact that he is also just making like another show where it's like the disaster of the week at an oil field. So this week we had a huge car crash to start.
Yeah.
You're not really supposed to know what's going on there.
Okay.
I don't know. They haven't revealed it. But the week previous, there was a chemical leak at a different plant, at a different gas field. And so like you're just supposed to get the feeling that like there are always fires to put out at this oil company and that things are going wrong like in and around them. I don't know what the larger story is going to be with that, though.
That was the one thing as somebody who knew nothing about it.
Yeah, the cold open must have been very confusing.
The cold open was like, oh shit, Chris wasn't lying when he said this is going to be an insane episode. There's somebody like running a tube from their exhaust.
The guy was trying to take his own life.
Yeah.
While another guy was just like, I just happened to be driving down this dirt road and I hit you going 80 miles per hour. But the truck driver died and the guy in the pickup truck lived, but lost an arm.
Oh, so that guy with the arm was so the pickup truck driver lived?
Yeah.
Tough situation.
And now he's in the same hospital as the dude who's got
with the blind
chemical leak blindness. So yeah. I'm glad I introduced this to you.
I mean, it's fun. It's not like there's not like a lot of Venn diagram overlap with my interests, I would say broadly, but like walking away from it, I was like, when Sam Elliott and Billy Bob were like, deserve ain't got nothing to do with it.
I was like, all right, I'm forgiven. Let's go.
Line. Let's fucking go. Like I'm kind of down.
If I can give you one assignment for your holiday viewing, and then maybe you give me a shout in January.
Okay.
Manzukis is already on board with this. Mallory Rubin's already on board with this. I need you to watch Shoresy.
I will. I will.
Do you grow up playing hockey?
No, but I grew up watching a lot of it. Yeah.
It'll mean a lot to you.
Okay. I got kicked out of like my high school's club hockey championship because we went to the grocery store and bought a bunch of like fish. And then whenever they scored a goal, we would throw fish on the ice. And they were like, guys, like this isn't like an NHL game. Like it's actually really hard for us to clean this up.
Yeah.
And so we got kicked out. And also we did it. There were like 30 people there. So it was pretty clear who was doing it.
Yeah, it's not like you could be like, I don't know, it's the other guy. Yeah.
Not to bore you with me getting kicked out of ice hockey games.
No, please.
But there was an ice hockey like industry ice hockey league out here that I think Bruckheimer played in.
No way.
Yes, and my old manager Ben had like come up as like, he was like on the possibly going professional hockey track, like went to a high school to specialize in that. Okay. Played around. And so he had a bunch of like hockey friends and they played in this thing. And we all went to like one of his games. And this is even dumber because there were like 7 of us that were friends with him that went to that game. There was nobody else. And we were all banging on the glass so hard that they asked us to leave.
Are you serious?
This is true. This is the second I've been to not very many hockey games, but I've gotten kicked out of the majority of them.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Tim, thank you for joining me today.
Chris, what a pleasure. Wait, do we need to check in with Kaya to see, do we know yet if you're going to the Golden Globes? Has anything changed since the beginning of this episode?
Still a question mark.
Still up in the air.
I don't think you guys ever circled back on Zins and golf, though.
No, I mean, we talked about golf in terms of what we would do with our fantasy pluribus time. If this happened, I definitely would just start smoking again. Because I would just assume that they would have top-of-the-line healthcare. Never have to pay for a pack again.
Yeah.
Also get packs delivered to me via drone or person.
And you could actually just be like, look, I want you to get 10 million of the best scientific minds together and focus specifically on lung cancer.
Emphysema, yeah.
And then I want you to take another 10 and have them focus specifically on how to get rid of the feeling you get when you smoke too much the night before.
Yeah, also like there should be a spray that takes the smell off you so that like if other people, but then again, like by that point, there would only be 9 other people in the world who had any real individual taste anyway. So you would really not have to worry about that much. You could just, I just want to go back to, I want to have like 1 week where I get to smoke indoors again.
Yeah. God, that would be fucking great. It was nice also to see in Landman. Speaking of Landman, see people
everybody's
smoking
just
indoor. Oh,
smoking darts.
just ripping darts rules.
Tim, thanks so much for joining me. We'll be back on Thursday with Andy, and thank you to Kaya and Kai.